Hi, welcome to Sunday School. I'm Mrs. Papworth. Now, last week we learned that Adam and Eve had many children, and their children then had children, and their children had children, and on and on and on until there were many people living in the world. We said that one son of Adam and Eve, named Cain, was evil. Cain killed his brother, Abel, and Cain was selfish in his offerings to the Lord. Cain's family, his descendants, his great-grandchildren, great-great-great-great-grandchildren, all followed Cain's example, and they were selfish. They did not love the Lord. They did what pleased them instead of what pleased God. But Adam and Eve had another son named Seth, who also had a large family. And Seth's family loved the Lord. Well, as the years passed, some of Seth's descendants, his great-great-great-great-grandsons, married some of Cain's descendants, his great-great-great-great-granddaughters. Now, you would think that the husbands would teach their wives to worship God, to love Him, and to have a good relationship with Him. But that didn't happen. The wives led their husbands away from God and into selfish living. Instead of loving God and doing good things for other people, almost all of the people in the world became selfish and evil. Now, evil is a word that describes the very sinful words and thoughts and actions of people. You see, God doesn't just see what people do, He also knows what people are thinking. And God, the Bible tells us that God saw that every thought and every action was evil. And God was sad that He had made people. So God said that He would destroy all the evil people in the world, and along with them, the animals and the birds would be destroyed as well. But God was merciful. He said He would wait 120 years before destroying the earth. That gave plenty of time for people to change their ways and to begin to worship their Creator. Well, God was also merciful because He knew that one man on the entire earth who did love Him, who did love God. And this man, of course, was Noah. Now, the Bible describes Noah as righteous and without blame. So let me ask you a question. Does that mean that Noah never sinned? What do you think? He's righteous and without blame? Well, it sounds that way, doesn't it? But we know that everyone sins. Ever since Adam and Eve sinned that first time when they disobeyed God in the garden and they ate that forbidden fruit, ever after that, every person born has born with what we call a sin nature, which means that we can never obey God perfectly, which means that we are sinners. Everyone after Adam and Eve, and including them, of course, but everyone after Adam and Eve were born with that sin nature. But we also know that God gives some people faith to believe in Him, and Noah believed in God. So God spoke to Noah and told him that the earth would be destroyed and that all people would die. But God also told Noah how to save himself, his family, and two of every animal and many birds. God told Noah to build an ark. Now, God described exactly the size of the ark, how many different levels it should be, how to make the roof and the floor, and Noah obeyed. Noah didn't have a Home Depot or a Lowe's to go to have his wood cut and then delivered. Now, Noah had to go out and cut down the trees, drag them home, cut boards, make them all smooth, and fasten them together. He had to make the ark waterproof. It took years. Experts estimate that it took at least 50 years, and probably longer, for Noah to build the ark. Well, as Noah worked, his neighbors dropped by to make fun of him, because remember, everyone else in the world was evil. And they would say things like, "What on earth are you building?" And Noah would say, "A boat." And then neighbors would say, "A boat? There's no ocean or lake or river near here. Are you crazy?" And Noah would say something like, "God has told me that He will judge and punish all the evil and sin in this world. He will destroy the earth and all the people and the animals with a huge flood. And the only way to be safe is to believe in God and worship Him and to enter the ark. That's the only way to be safe." Well, that sounds pretty convincing to me. How many of the neighbors do you think listened to Noah and began to worship God? How many do you think? 0. Not one. In more than 50 years, no one else believed. Now, Noah had 3 sons, and I imagine that they helped him build the ark, and they probably began to have faith also, just like their father. And as the years passed, all 3 sons got married. So God allowed Noah, Noah's wife, the 3 sons, and now these 3 wives to enter the finished ark. So God then sent 2 of every kind of animals, of course a boy and a girl, and many birds to the ark. And Noah showed each pair of animals to their own special room in the ark. Before the rain started, God closed the door, and Noah's family and the arks were shut safely inside. They were safe inside that ark. Then the rain started pouring down, and the Bible tells us that water bubbled up from under the ground, underground springs. For 40 days and 40 nights the rain poured down. The ark began to float off the ground, and eventually the water got so deep on the earth that the ark floated more than 20 feet above the highest mountain. Every person, every animal, and every bird that was not on that ark drowned. This was God's judgment or punishment on the world of evil. The only ones who were saved were those inside the ark that God had commanded Noah to build. And the only way to avoid this punishment was to obey God and trust that what he promised would happen, and to trust that the ark would save them. So after 40 days, the rain stopped, but it was about a year before the floodwaters dried up and Noah's family and the animals could leave the ark. What do you think was the first thing that Noah did when his feet touched the dry ground? I think, what would you do if you'd been a year on a boat with your family and a bunch of animals? What would be the first thing that you would want to do? Well, the first thing that Noah did was he worshiped God. He made a sacrifice or an offering to God to thank him for saving their lives and for keeping them safe. Noah worshiped God, and God accepted Noah's sacrifice. And then God made another promise. He put a rainbow up in the sky, and God promised Noah that he would never destroy the earth again by flood. And then God told Noah's family to have lots of children and to fill the earth with their descendants. Well, that's the end of the story about Noah today, but I want to talk a little bit about the ark. I'm sure that you've seen pictures, something like this, in your coloring books and in storybooks. And you see it? Yeah, and so it's a picture that we often see of the ark, but it's not very accurate. Now, there is a museum in Kentucky that's called the Ark Encounter, and they decided there to build, using modern tools, an ark exactly according to the instructions that God gave. So it's the exact size that the Bible said. Now, here's a picture that I took off the internet of that ark that they built. And again, the light is kind of hard here, but can you see the white things down alongside that ark down here? Those are cars. Do you see how little they are compared to that ark? That means that ark is very, very big. And it's set up on some supports because, of course, it has a keel. It has something that allows it to go well through the water. But that's how big the ark is. And that gives you an idea of what it looks like. No wonder it took Noah more than 50 years to build that original ark. He didn't have special tools, and he didn't have the Home Depot to deliver the wood to them. Now, most of you have seen a football field on TV or in person. The ark was 1.5 times as big as a football field, lengthwise. And then widthwise or wide, it was only half as wide as a football field. But the ark was also very tall. Now, most of us live in a house that's either 1 story or 2 stories or 1 level. We have first floor and we have second floor. But the ark was probably 4 to 5 stories as compared to our house. 4 to 5 times as big as a 1-story house, as tall. Here's a picture now of the ark that was built for this museum, and it shows what the different levels inside would look like. And again, it's hard for me to get the light right, but you can see that there's a big area down in the bottom, and then at least 3 levels up. They're guessing that this is how it would be divided to keep the animals, apart from each other and safe during the time, a year on that ark. Now, I have another picture here of the animals inside the ark. Again, this is the way the museum depicts it. This is down this first floor level, and you can see the animals down in that first floor. You can't see the different levels, but that's just a close-up of what it might be like to put the very tallest and biggest animals down on that first level. Now, I have another question for you. How many ways were there to get into that ark? There's just one. It was the door. Now, again, here's the picture from the Ark Encounter, the one that has been built, and it shows probably a teenager, I would guess, standing there in that doorway, and you can see how the door comes down to become a ramp. But there's only one door. There's only one way in. You know how many ways there are to get to heaven? Only one. only one to believe in Jesus. And God promised to send the Savior before Adam and Eve left the garden. So back to this ark. How did Noah know how to build this huge ark? Building that ark was huge, a huge job. If he made a mistake, his family and all the animals could have drowned. And we said that Noah wasn't perfect. So how did he know how to build this ark perfectly? What do you think? I'm sure God gave him very specific directions, but what if Noah messed up? What if he didn't quite understand God's directions? Don't you suppose that God would correct him if he made a mistake? Do you think that maybe God sent special helpers, skilled people, even if they didn't worship God, they might be very skilled at building a boat? I think that God made sure that Noah did a perfect job in building this ark. Now, it is hard for us to listen to someone's directions and follow them exactly when you just hear it. So after our break, we are going to take a couple minutes to do a little project that involves you listening to my directions. If you follow my directions, and your creations are going to look exactly like mine. So before we start our break, I want you to gather some supplies over the break. And so I want to tell you what to get. You may want to pause this video right here and get a piece of paper and a pencil so you can write down what I want you to get. Go ahead and pause it. Are you back now with pencil and paper? All right, so here are the supplies that I'd like for you to get. I want you to have 2 pieces of just plain white paper. Now, if you're like me and you recycle, there can be something on the back. But 2 pieces of just plain white paper like you might put in your computer printer. Okay, so 2 of those, 2 pieces of plain white paper. You also need a glue stick, 1 glue stick per person. So if there are 3 of you there working, 3 glue sticks, 1 glue stick per person. This is per person, okay? Now the next thing that I'm going to ask you to find is a yellow square. And you can make this yourself. I'm going to show you, do you have like Post-it notes at home? If you do, here's a yellow square that I just took a piece of Post-it note. And it happens to be yellow, okay? But you could also make it out of construction paper if you want. It doesn't matter exactly what size it is. Just don't make it too huge. Okay, so 1 yellow square. All right, you also need 1 orange square. Now I took a yellow Post-it note because I didn't have any orange ones, and I just labeled it orange. So you can do that, or you can make 1 orange square out of construction paper. Either one is fine. Okay, the next thing that we need is 1 blue circle. Now I had a blue Post-it note, and so I just cut the edges around. Or you can take a piece of construction paper and make a blue circle. 1 blue circle. You also need 1 black circle. Black Post-it notes just don't exist, so I took a piece of white paper and I wrote black on it. Or you can get black construction paper and make 1 black circle. 1 black circle. 1 orange rectangle. This is an index card that has little lines on it. If you have a white piece of index card, you can color it orange, or you can just cut it out of construction paper or white paper and color it orange. Either one is fine. Okay, so the last thing we need is 1 green triangle. I took a Post-it note and cut it in halves to make a triangle. And it was green paper, but it's kind of yellowy green, so I wrote the word green on so I wouldn't get confused. And that's what I'm going to use, okay? So those are the things that you need. 2 pieces of plain white paper, a glue stick, 1 yellow square, 1 orange square, 1 blue circle, 1 black circle, 1 orange rectangle, and 1 green triangle. Let's take a break while you gather your supplies.